Good afternoon. Monday, day 19, less than a week to go. So again, this one comes with a content warning because we're going to talk about external trauma, which can be anything, but very regularly it comes from sexual, physical and mental abuse. And a bit like yesterday, there's not a whole lot that I can recommend for somebody who suffers from these depressions or trauma brought on by these factors. And realistically, let's not sugarcoat this. It's not really depression, it is trauma. Somebody has gone through an experience at some point in their lives, either when they're very young or when they're older, at any point in their lives, and it has left them with trauma. Now, the one thing about trauma is that it's rarely self-inflicted. It can be, but this type of trauma is rarely self-inflicted. It comes from external sources. It comes from other people who take advantage. It comes from other people who think that they're better. It comes from other people who take advantage of the fact that they know the person, or that they're related, or that they're work together, or have some kind of connection, went to school together, that kind of thing. But it can also come from a random act of violence. Now, the thing that trauma requires is patience, and it requires patience from everybody. People who don't suffer trauma, or haven't been subjected to any kind of trauma in their lives, don't really understand the impact it can have on somebody, the mental impact, even if it's physical trauma, but the ongoing mental impact it'll have on that person, and the way that it affects those people, the way they think, the way that they react to other people around them, the way that they become very introverted, the way that they don't want contact. And that can be very, very frustrating from a perspective of somebody who is very tactile. So if you're a very tactile type of person, you like to give hugs and that kind of thing, you can feel like your friendship is being rejected. But what you have to realize that this is not about you. Nothing that's done, even if it's an outright smack in the face to say get away from me, that's not actually a result of, you can't do anything to fix that apart from just respect the fact that that request has been made. Trauma cuts deep. It cuts deep, and it takes a long, long time to heal. To anyone suffering from the trauma, know that it's not your fault. Know that you're not to blame. No item of clothing, no manner of carrying yourself, nothing you said, nothing you did in your life can ever justify you suffering a trauma at the hands of somebody else, no matter what type of trauma it is, whether it's physical violence, rape, mental abuse, gaslighting, anything like that. It's not your fault. And you have to realize that people who inflict trauma quite often know exactly what they're doing. They know how to make it cut the deepest. They know how to make it hurt the most. They know how to inflict the most amount of damage with it. And to defend yourself against that, you need to be cast iron. You need to have no emotions. You need to be able to just completely cut that off. And that's very rare that people are like that. People who cause that kind of trauma also seek out those that they recognize weakness in. And when I say weakness, I mean weakness from their perspective. Not that you have a weakness, but they perceive it as a weakness, and they look to exploit it. You can't do anything about that if it happens, if it has happened. there's no, again, like yesterday, there's no platitudes I can give you that's going to fix it. Talking about it is all that can help, really. Trying to come to terms with the fact that you are not at fault. It's not your fault. It's nothing you did. And that recognizing that the other person took advantage of you is all you can do. And that takes time. That does take time. It's not something, as I say, as you click the fingers and make it happen. But anyway. So yeah, I don't want to labour on it too much because it's not a topic I can talk with very much authority about, but I'm going to try and just give other people outside some sense of duty to care. You can't force somebody who suffered a trauma to open up to you. You can't force them to react differently. You can't force them to be at ease around you. You can't force any of this. Like any trauma, any depression, you cannot force somebody to be like this. To change. Certainly not overnight, certainly not quickly. It takes years of hard work, talking, therapy, and even then it may only scratch the surface. So be patient, give them time. Be patient with yourself, give yourself time. Society, as I say, expects us to have answers immediately, or to resolve these things immediately, so we move on and we forget about them. But these things you can't forget, and you can't move on from that quickly. So give yourself the time you need to do it, to deal with it. And again, be kind to yourself. It's not your fault. You didn't do this to yourself. Somebody else did this to you. So okay. Okay, that's it. It's not your fault. Look after yourself. We'll talk to you tomorrow.